All of Greater Sydney, the Blue Mountains, the Central Coast and Wollongong will go into a lockdown.
This is the In the Cove podcast.
Welcome to the In the Cove podcast. This is a special COVID-19 Lockdown 2.0 edition.
Hi, I'm Jackie Barker, founder of In the Cove.
And I'm Rob Caldor, and both Jackie and myself are locked separately in COVID-safe bunkers.
We are. Nice to hear you, even if I can't be with you, Rob.
Well, you know what, Jackie, in these days of pivoting and changing the way we do things, it's something to be expected. But this podcast is quite a special one because I think we need to share a bit of information about what's going on for us personally, but obviously share some experiences and some hints and ways of getting through this 2-week lockdown.
In the Cove News.
Where do you want to start? Because there's so much to get through.
Well, I think let's get the basic stuff out of the way. I think we should talk about where we can get tested because, you know, any signs now of a sniffle or a headache or something like that, the medical recommendation is go to a COVID testing spot.
Okay, so Rob, what we've been doing during the whole of COVID is we have been asking our Lane Cove followers of In the Cove to tell us where they've got tested, how long it took to take the test, and what the result turnaround times were. And from that, and we've been keeping that up to date since November last year, and from that we've found that there are 3 testing sites which seem to be the fastest and the most efficient. Now, as you probably know, Rob, there is not a testing site in Lane Cove, but the one that people are going to the most is the Lavity Pathology drive-through at 60 Waterloo Road, North Ryde.
Okay, and I've been to a drive-through testing spot myself, and look, it's not the end of the day. You put your, you can listen to the In the Cove podcast whilst waiting, and then you just drive until it's your turn. And you know, I've had a couple of tests and I feel like the testing's got a bit less sore. It was not an issue for me. It's just a bit of a swab in the throat and up the nose.
Yes, Mr. ITC had a cold, so I said to him, you are going to get tested. He got in the car, went to Waterloo Road. He said that it was 30 minutes, and this was right when people were starting to do a lot of testing. And he said it didn't hurt at all because they hardly put up the nose, whereas I had my test, my one and only COVID test right at the beginning, and I swear to God, they were touching my brain.
You know what? The thing is, you just got to do it. And I know the results come through via text. It's all very swift.
So 2 other places you can go, Rob, are the Foresight Pathology North Ryde at 1 Lucknow Road, North Ryde. And the other one that people have found very quick is North Shore Roseville Respiratory Clinic. Now, here's a little hint. If you wanted to get vaccinated with the AstraZeneca vaccination, you can go to Ryde Respiratory Clinic and you could have the test, and if it's negative, you can go back and have the vaccination there. All
very convenient, Jackie, the 3 spots, and that's on the In the Cove website.
It is. We've got just go onto In the Cove, and it is in the news section because it's a very popular one, and it's called Lane Cove Closest Testing Facilities.
But, you know, a link to the old testing, and then you touched on that, is the vaccination. And I don't know about you, Jack, I've had my 2 vaccinations. I am COVID safe, although I still wear a mask when outside as recommended.
Something very, very interesting came up in today's press release. And when I say today, I mean the 28th of June. So the Minister for Health mentioned that one of the super spreader events was at the Hoxton Park party, and where there were lots of kids, and I think there's about 30 that's been infected. But he mentioned that there were 6 health workers at that party, and they had all been fully vaccinated and none of them have tested positive. And one aged care worker who was only half vaccinated because they're getting the AZ, and they also tested negative. So yes, it's not a perfect system, the vaccination, but some of the ad hoc anecdotal advice is that it's working well. But if you always wear a mask, that is just another step in the protection.
The vaccine is available to your age group. Go and grab it as quickly as you can. That's the way we're going to head this thing off as quickly as possible.
And here's a hint. for Pfizer, you don't actually have to go out to Homebush. Pfizer is also available at Royal North Shore, but they are quite booked out there. But you can go to RPA. Some of the Lane Cove people have been going out to Westmead. So you don't have to go to the Homebush one. And also they are open on a Sunday, so you can have a look there. And just keep on having a look because vacancies do come up.
And the good thing about getting it done, if you can, during lockdown is there's not much traffic on the road, and it is one of the reasons that you can leave your home.
Yes, that's right. Gee, there's some interesting things that are coming forward about reasons to leave your home, Rob.
You tell me more.
You'd probably be aware that being a local news organisation, I get the press releases from the police media unit, and two very interesting ones came through today. Two men were sunbaking naked at the on the south coast, and they had actually gone down to the south coast from Sydney, which was a no-no. A deer came along and startled them, so they ran into the bush and then got lost. And apparently one of the men did actually manage to get something on, so he had his shorts and a phone, and he had to get rescued. And once they were rescued, they got hit with $1,000 each.
The Bambi police have done their job. Shouldn't leave Sydney, we know that. But going to the south coast, doing a bit of skinny dipping and naked sunbathing, the deer, no one expected that outcome.
No, and here's another one that someone got pinged for today. And the headline was, "It's not a reasonable excuse to interrupt a press conference." So someone came along to Gladys's press conference in the North Shore, and because they have a lot here outside, and he got hit with a fine because it was not a reasonable excuse to interrupt a press conference. Now, they're the funny ones. However, there are lots of ones being issued for incorrect mask usage. So people, you know how you see people and it's not covering their nose, or they're walking around with it under their chin, which they're allowed to do when they're outside, by the way, but when you go inside. And the other thing is, no matter what you're doing, even though it's not mandatory, but they will soon be doing it, you've got to use your QR codes when you go into any retail or environment where you're not at home.
But Jackie, it's not all just about, COVID and testing and vaccines and things like that. We want to hear what you're doing to get through this lockdown, some hints. Like, is it making scones? Is it the old sourdough or kombucha thoughts? What are some hints to get through this lockdown? How can people let us know these hints? We want to hear your voices.
Well, Rob, lucky you should ask, because In the Cove is now on WhatsApp and you can leave us a message. So here's the phone number. We'll put in the link below as well. But if you want to connect with us on WhatsApp, just send a voice message telling us how you're getting through lockdown on 0478 254 122. It'll be in the link below, but that's 0478 254 122.
And simply press, there's a little icon, press record, leave us an audio message. If you don't want to do that, just write us a message and we'll read it out. But we want to hear your voice and it'll appear in the podcast. We're very excited by this use of technology, Jackie, and I know you are a fan of Facebook and WhatsApp.
I am, and here's another hint. During last lockdown, a lot of people put together street WhatsApps, which is brilliant because that way you can check on your neighbours. And a lot of people were taking photos of our articles and then setting the photos. Well, guess what? Every article that now appears on In the Cove, there's a button down the bottom that says WhatsApp. You hit it, and that article will go directly to your street's WhatsApp group. So just another way to spread the love and information.
In the Cove special guest.
I came across something very interesting on iView recently. There's a new TV show out. I don't know. Have you heard of something called Win the Week?
Well, funny you should ask, Rob, because yes, I have. In the Cove was lucky enough to be chosen as one of the first contestants on Win the Week. And Win the Week is a comedy/trivia show where ordinary Australians and I'm so good at being ordinary, are paired with celebrities, and they are asked to answer current affairs questions. I was lucky enough to be on the show and partnered with the one and only Andrew Denton. And I fangirled big time because I've loved Andrew Denton for a long time. I think he's fabulous. And so I was on Win the Week. And if you want to watch it and you've got 30 minutes, you can laugh at me or you can laugh with me. Just go along to ABC iView and put in Win the Week. And episode 1, you will see one Jackie, and that is in the Cove. And the next episodes are on Wednesdays at 8:00. But yeah, so you can see me, and it was so much fun, Rob.
What was Denton like up close, behind the scenes, off camera?
Andrew was unbelievably nice, and we had some great chats. I asked him about the Rabbitohs because, of course, he's a huge South fan, and I asked him if he and Rusty spent time together, and he said, quote unquote, not recently. I said to him that there's a movement to get the North Bears, Sydney Bears, back into the competition, and he said absolutely. Clubs like Sydney, South Sydney and North should never have been taken out of the comp, and he'd love to see them back as well.
Look, I'm a big fan of bringing the Bears back. I think the Grizzly Bears, and mostly because, they made you feel better often because they struggled in the league and didn't particularly win a lot of games. But I say bring them back. But Jackie, coming back to the actual TV show, I won't do a spoiler alert, but you got to watch all the way through because I think, Jackie was definitely up there.
I was on fire.
We're on fire. You're a bit of a trivia buff. Is that true?
That is true, Rob. So I have my own buzzer at home.
All right, Jack, just to test this buzzer out, what is the name of the rotunda in Lane Cove Plaza? Jackie.
The Lloyd Rees Bandstand.
Correct, Jackie. And look, I've got to say, a quiz show, there's something missing with only one person in it, but I do appreciate having the buzzer involved.
Well, I think everyone should have their own buzzer.
In the Cove, because local matters.
What's this thing about colouring in competition?
Yes. So In the Cove has put together a competition called It Up Lane Cove. And during last lockdown, there was some brilliant chalk art on footpaths and driveways. So to give the kids something to do, we have put together a competition, and we're still gathering prizes, but the number one prize is a $100 kid stuff voucher. And all they have to do is just draw some really exciting, positive, pretty stuff on sidewalks or footpaths or their driveway, and take a picture and load it up to Instagram with the hashtag In the Cove, and they can go into the competition to see who our special judging panel picks as the best artwork. And we've got different ages. And again, there's an article on our In the Cove page that explains it more. And the good thing about this competition is it doesn't matter if you live in a house or an apartment, doesn't matter where you are, every one of your building will have a footpath out the front.
Absolutely. And the joy is today is a bit of a rainy day. So if you're not happy with what happens, it gets washed away and you can try again tomorrow. Jackie, just one final thing that I want to ask about. We've all got neighbours that we potentially are worried about. What can you do? What can you do if you're worried about a neighbour in the local area or someone that's older or just want to check in on people? What are some ideas?
The Sydney Community Services is an organisation based in Lane Cove. Their remit is to help the vulnerable or elderly in the community. So if you know someone who's having trouble shopping, getting anything, ask them to contact Sydney Community Services and they will help you. And we will put their information up on the links below, but you can also contact them support@sydneysydneycs.org, or you can call them on 9427 6425. And they're the organisation that does Meals on Wheels and helping with online grocery shopping. And we actually interviewed the CEO of Sydney Community Services, Jill Batt, in one of our podcasts after the previous lockdown, and she was very interesting. And we'll put the link to that podcast down in the links below as well, Rob.
In the Cove business.
The first thing is that our local businesses, we've got to support them. And so In the Cove has put together a list of as many organisations as we can that provide meals. And so if you go to our article, Lane Cove Restaurants and Takeaways, Home Delivery, etc., it lists all the different restaurants in Lane Cove by cuisine. And what we've done is we've actually put a specific link to their Uber Eats or their DoorDash. So bookmark that article, and then all you have to do is to click the link and you go straight to ordering. And that way you're doing them a favour and you're also giving yourself a break from cooking. The other thing I just wanted to let people know about is that we've put together a list of frequently asked questions about COVID on the COVID lockdown on our website. And if people want to have a look at that, it will help them find out what's open, what's closed, and in particular, the Lane Cove Council will be updating some more information, and we will update that. And the other good thing is the Lane Cove Library has Library to Your Door, which means that you can get books, magazines, DVDs, audiobooks, stuff for the kids delivered directly to your door. So maybe get on to the Library to Your Door website and have a look at that with the kids to see what they want.
And don't forget about our WhatsApp messaging. So if you're keen to share what's going on with you and some hints of getting through this lockdown, it's WhatsApp 0478 254 122. Leave us a message and it'll go live.
And last thing, Rob, is that we have some incredibly comfortable In the Cove face masks. And if you want to support In the Cove and keep local news free, you can join up there for a fee of $50 and we're going to send you out your own comfortable face mask. But we've only got a few left. So quick, get online, have a look, frequently asked questions, and you can look at the face mask.
They are very stylish, Jackie, and I am excited to wear my one that I've got nearby now.
Look at this. Isn't this great? I'm talking to you through the face mask.
You would never know. You would never know. All right. Until next time, I'm Rob.
I'm Jackie. Thank you so much for listening and keep supporting In the Cove.
In the Cove podcast available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
This podcast has been produced by localpodcast.com.au. If your organisation needs a podcast, contact Rob 0404 289 956.